Paul?
Yes. For me, the biggest anxiety is the script, is getting the script right. And I find, because, you know, I always feel that in any movie, especially one that doesn't work, well, most of the ones that don't work, there's what I like to call the fatal flaw, which is there's something that we overlooked, and it can be something as silly as, you know, the monster's design is wrong, or, you know, in Hook, Robin Williams' hair is crazy when he's Peter Pan, or, you know, but that then just obliterates all the rest of the hard work that everybody puts in, because an audience just goes to the one thing they don't buy, they don't believe. And for me, it's all about the script, because, you know, if that story's not right, it doesn't have the bones, and, you know, like for us, we do a lot of improv, but we don't go in without like a script that we could shoot verbatim, and I think it would be pretty good, because it's you have to lay this emotional base, and so it's getting all those emotions and all those moves that the characters do correct and real, and then you build the comedy up from that. But that's where I think a lot of comedies fall apart, is they go for, this would be funny, this would be funny, this would be funny, and then they go, okay, well, but we gotta, oh, now we have to get the dramatic story in. And so that's why you see a lot of comedies kind of going up here, and then maudlin scene, and maudlin third act, and just, it all kind of goes down. So it's just really being hard on that script, and developing the script for so long, and not settling for anything, and just, you know, just beating it up. So once you kind of go like, I think we have it, but then you never know, so that anxiety goes all through production, because you're like, I hope this is working.
Yeah.
You know,
But you had such a sensational cast, though. I know they talked to Marty Scorsese about the process. He says, I won't go until I'm in love with the cast. And it seemed to me, you had this amazing cast. I mean, did you know Melissa McCarthy would become this character?
We knew pretty soon. I mean, what the process that we like to do for the writing is to cast very early, and then, you know, get the script right so that the basic bones of it work, and you write in the archetypes of what the characters are. But then when you cast, we do a lot of improv in the casting session, so that we can start to feel the actor's personality, or the personality of the character they have brought to us coming out. So then when we get them together, we mix and match and do a lot of chemistry reads, where we can make sure, you know, kind of see who works together. Once we get that group, then we bring them in to do rehearsals very early, like months before we go, that then has them reading through the script, and then like, well, let's just improv a version of that scene. And they'll start playing around, we'll just kind of give them different things, and they'll start talking in the voices of their character, and that's where we start the second part of the writing process. And say, oh, and that was with us, with Melissa in the rehearsals, she just started, everything she was doing was so funny that we started adjusting the script to give her more to do. And like the scene where she comes over to Annie's and beats her up on the couch to get her to wake up, great scene. That was originally supposed to be for some call center woman in a collection agency in Mumbai who kept calling Annie because she was behind on her payments, and then finally got on the phone and read the riot act. But very early on, I was like, we have this hilarious woman. Why would we give that to some third-party character? And so rewrote it for her. So it's just being that. So you can't do anything without a great cast, but you have to let that cast be a part of the process so that they start to bring it to life.
So actors out there, bear in mind the lesson, and that is, you know, be great. If you want to get a bigger role, be great in rehearsal. Right?
Excellent. That's right. It almost apart there.
Mr. George, sir.
Yes. The whole thing is just one long train of anxiety. And because I write most of what I do, it starts on a blank screen. I will literally wallpaper the ceiling. I will do anything. I'll dig the garden 3 times rather than write. I hate it. It's the thing I'm best at, and it's the thing I hate most. So that starts the process off with anxiety, you know. And then the directing side of it is, for me, is a mixture of joy and fear. I mean, fear because the only other director I've ever really had experience of watching and working with and interacting with is Jim Sheridan, and you might as well be copying a madman because he's truly insane on set. So I have no blueprint. And I remember the first film I directed, Some Mother's Son, I get over, they're all waiting there looking at me, and I go over to the monitor and put my head down, I'm like, Jesus God, please bring me out of here. And that anxiety hasn't gone away, you know. I just directed an episode of Luck, and I walk on the set, and there's Dustin Hoffman and Nick Nolte's over there, and I'm like, Jesus God, get me out of here. Because, you know, everyone is looking at you, and okay, you've got your notes and your storyboard and all that there, but you know it's all going out the window. And suddenly you're hoping that some inspiration will come, and that there's a good script there. And I do agree with Paul, it's all about the script at the end of the day. And then within that script, a good script, it's the moments where you throw that out, where something sparks within the scene, and you have the bravery and the latitude to go with it, and go off page, and then the whole crew goes into a panic, you know, because everything they've planned for is out the window, and then it's, oh, he's gone mad, you know? We don't know what we're shooting. Peter, as a short, I only get to speak a third of the time, I'm not sure. Because I'm a short film. Yeah, so anxiety, you know, that's what drives me. I'm looking for a different job now, fishing.
Directing Dustin Hoffman is instantly anxiety producing, because usually at the end of a take he'll say, I can do it better. And then he'll look at you and say, and you can do it better.
And then he'd crack a joke. Yeah. You just have to multiply the time in the day, because he's fantastic. He will do it better and keep going, and he's so funny on set. And the poor ADs are looking at their watches, like, shut this guy up.
Jennifer, I wanted to get back to you. In terms of angst.
Angst is...
I should say that Jennifer has directed, there's no movie in history that's ever done more box office and directed by a woman than Jennifer's movie, and that's...
Peculiar statistic, actually. I'm kind of shocked about, like, really? Seriously? But I need a raise. But, as far as anxiety, I mean, it is the middle of the process. These movies take, I mean, animation can take 3 or 4 years. And halfway through, you have nothing to show for it except your word. You have to just promise people, it'll be good. I promise, it'll be good. You just have to trust me. There's nothing to look at. All the footage we have sucks. And it will be good, I promise you. And that's when everybody jumps in to help in a very well-meaning way. And you just have to have everybody trust you. And look them square in the face and tell them everything will be fine. That is, huh? Yeah, I swear I'm not lying. I'm not pulling something over on you. And you have 300 people staring at you. You have great actors, really, really great actors. Dustin Hoffman, everybody's staring at you, and you want to reassure them that everything will be fine. And you have nothing to show for it.
Wow.
That is exciting. But it's kind of funny because when even like, you know, the guy cleaning the kitchen will tell you something along the way. By the way, you could fix that story point by doing this. You know, you're kind of in that miserable middle of the movie. And what was really cool on our miserable middle was Guillermo del Toro came in, and he looked at our footage and said, you know, you have a great movie. He gave me the man speech. And it's funny because I'm the chick here, but yeah, he gave me the man speech where basically he said, being a director is a horrible, miserable experience. That it's a terribly lonely job because you're blamed for everything bad, and everything good, someone else will take the credit ultimately. But the reason why you do it is because somewhere at the end of this process, you will see something beautiful that came straight out of here and will end up on the screen. That's why you do it. So he basically said, man up, take the pain, and do it. And I said, okay. And I'm not an angry person. At that point, I had to throw a chair and tell everyone it will be fine, and just be quiet. And, you know, we made it to the end of the movie that way. It was good.
answer, but I'd love to have both of you. What the whole issue about Tintin and what is it? I'd love to have your thoughts on that as well.
Right. I really like Tintin. You know, I think I watched that movie and in terms of process, you mean, just in terms of the mocap process, it seemed utterly appropriate for that movie, and therefore it's legitimate. You know, in terms of the nominees, and you know, Gore's one of them, and Jennifer and myself as well. And I look at the list of nominees, and I can't argue against the list of that collection of films. They're all completely deserving, and it's a pretty great group to be a part of. So diverse, you know, and I find that really exciting about animation in particular. That you've got an international, you've got a film from Spain and France, and I've got 2 CG 3D films, another CG 2D film by choice, and a really good one. And I think it speaks to the places animation can go, and you know, it's just you're only limited by your imagination with the format. So. Did I just completely sidestep that question? I mean, Gore can pick up on it, for sure. Can I move on to anxiety? I love it. Actually, I do. I always found when going to that horribly dark place, and you know it's coming, you just don't know when, it's actually a good sign that something will inevitably, well, not necessarily a good thing will come out of it, but something is going to change. And you knuckle down, you have the faith that, okay, we're in the dark place. It can create some extraordinary events, and usually creatively for the better, you know. It's so interesting listening to you, Paul, like, describe your process, and it's actually not that different from my experience in terms of, you know, we weren't recording people in 20 days, you know, and taking it on a different way that you did. We do it over the course of 2.5 years, and the animation process is one long writing process. I mean, with Puss in Boots, 6 weeks before the film came out, we were still changing dialogue and tweaking it, and looking for, frankly, the way to improv in animation. You're constantly trying to come up with something fresh. It's the most contrived form you can imagine, because you don't go outside, you don't get the trees for free when you shoot. You have to design every leaf, so it's all planned. So anytime you can find a way to keep it fresh, you know, extemporaneous, you know, stumble upon a happy accident that you can then animate. It really makes a huge difference. So I don't know. I think I'm done talking now. I love it.
You're expressing anxiety.
Oh, it's horrible anxiety.
So Chris, if you want to visit a dark place, try doing what I did, and that's become a studio executive. That's a dark place. Gore, if I may pick on you again. When you started, Rango covers so many topics, and there's so many levels of satire. What was in your head when, I guess you started with a 12-page outline, is that right?
Yeah.
What was in basically in your head when you started that outline? What did you want to accomplish in terms of ideas?
It really evolved. I mean, it evolved from a very primitive discussion about trying to do a Western with creatures of the desert, and then that led into there should be a man with no name, there should be an outsider, maybe he's aquatic, if he's aquatic, he should be a chameleon, if he's a chameleon, he should be an actor, if he's an actor, he should have issues, and then identity quests came in, and then you sort of, he wants to be a hero, he's looking for an audience, and then it said, okay, well, rather than being shy with references. It's very hard to make a Western and not have the shot over the gun with the guy down the street. I mean, you are dealing with a language that is really well established in terms of construction of shots. And so instead of sort of running away from that, once we knew this guy is aware, the protagonist is aware he's entering a genre, and we have this mariachi sort of breaking the fourth wall and talking about the hero's demise, it sort of became obvious that we could actually celebrate movies, celebrate, you know, very much like Michel did, we celebrate all these westerns that we love, and because I think in that case the protagonist is pretending. He wants to blend in. He wants to belong. So it just evolved. The only thing that's different in my process than maybe Paul's process, I have a kind of abject fear of homogenization from the process of gathering data. And so at some point, I really like films that are flawed, that feel like they might go off the tracks a little bit, that maybe have second act issues, and there's a kind of perfection that can be achieved in animation by virtue of constantly writing. So we had a slightly different process. We went to ILM we couldn't change anything. It was a visual effects model once. So we had 18 months very loose on the story reel doing drawings, getting a microphone, having a Macintosh computer, working out of our house, incredibly lo-fi. And then 20 days with the actors, recut, and then really hi-fi at ILM where you've got a drawing and you're saying this is 78 frames and we need exactly 78 frames, and there was no deviation at all. We couldn't afford to. So
and they don't have experience in animation.
You can't change. I mean, it would be incredibly cost prohibitive to go there and to expect to say, you know what, we changed our mind. Second act is now going to be, he has a relationship with a goat or something. I mean, we can't do that because it's funny. So we really, but I do think there's a language of shot construction, which is you also get humor from. And I think that in many ways you can design. The camera can be part of the humor. If you're willing to sort of plan that out. So.
But mindful that you liked to be acts of temerity, do you find going from a movie that is a send-up of westerns to now, in 1 month, starting to shoot a western, doesn't that give you a little bit of a cringe?
Yes.
Then I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, but this western has gravity and weather and all sorts of other issues that we didn't have. But it also has gifts, very much like Chris is talking about. Everything is frontal lobe in animation. Everything, you're trying to fabricate anomaly. You're trying to make it feel like if you're a tortoise and I'm a lizard, we're here talking, and Michel's got a camera on the shoulder, and it's happening, it's occurring, but nothing's occurring in animation. So it's going to be nice to get back to, once we kind of capture that moment with a net, it's done. We don't have to fabricate it.
So on the subject of just courage, once again, Michel, I've been with different guild groups just when you are about to make an appearance, and it is as though Orson Welles was going to appear. I mean, people in Hollywood are so astonished that you did what you did, but I find people really would say, do you know Michel Hazanavicius? And I say, yeah, I do. Now, once you get past explaining how you raise the money, which is all anyone wants to talk about in Hollywood, what do you find are the most common questions asked you when you go to the Writers Guild, the Directors Guild, the cinematographers? What do they ask you?
You want to know the question that I don't want to answer anymore? So you will answer, you make the answer? Where does that idea come from in the age of 3D and CGI in the 20th century? In the 21st century? That's
the dumbest question I ever asked Michel is that we got into an argument. I said, you tell me you didn't use one dog. You must have had 20 dogs. He said, I had one fucking dog. We got over that tension.